Hi everyone, I'm John C. Morley, the host of the J Moore Tech Talk Show and Inspirations for Your Life. Hey guys, good evening. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It's great to be with you on another fine Friday evening right here on the J Moore Tech Talk Show. Thanks for joining me live. If you're catching me later, whether that's 1 a.m., 3 a.m., 6 p.m., 4 a.m., doesn't really matter any other day. Thanks so much for being here. We have a great show tonight. And our title, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, we are in, yes, our third year, Series 3. So our title is Digital Disruption, Unraveling AI, Cybersecurity, and Ethical Debates. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump in, because I think there's some very, very important points that I think you guys are all definitely going to want to learn and know a lot about. So the first one, ladies and gentlemen, is this, and that is multiple AI companies are bypassing web standards to scrape publishers' websites. Well, what's this all about, John? Well, it seems that some people are being, let's say, a little bit, let's say, not nice, and they are abusing their power to gather data. So AI companies are reportedly sidestepping the web standards designed to block content scraping, and this has sparked a much wider debate between tech giants and media firms about the value of content in the era of generative AI and the implications for copyright and content ownerships. And this is a vast pool of challenges, as both sides are wrestling with the evolving landscape of AI, artificial intelligence, and digital media. So it is an issue, and they are working on it, but it is still causing a problem. In fact, I think there's going to be a new world with the law being formed for AI, artificial intelligence. So if you're becoming a lawyer, that's going to be a new field that's opening up, which is AI for lawyers. All right, guys. So let's just dive right in, shall we, with our next point? Well, that is hackers. Yes. They hit Poland's Euro 2024 match broadcast in the second attack. I mean, this is insane that something like this is even happening. But, you know, sports is not precluded from hackers. And, you know, hackers, again, deciding to target Poland's Euro 2024 soccer matches and disrupt the online broadcast is just fair game for them, they feel. This is the second attack aimed at the Polish soccer team using a distributed denial of service. That's a DDoS attack to flood the servers with traffic and block the broadcast. These incidents highlight the vulnerability of live sports streaming to cyber threats. So my question is, hey guys, what are you actually doing so that this doesn't happen in the future? That's my question. How are you protecting yourself? Because I always said, ladies and gentlemen, it's not a question of if, but when, if you're not properly protected. You know, initial checks suggested the hackers launched a distributed denial of service attack, which overwhelmed the servers, as I mentioned, with a huge amount of traffic, blocking fans from watching the transmission of the Group D clash, the broadcaster, and a similar attack hit its online broadcast of Poland's games against the Netherlands just the day after. And their quote was this, ladies and gentlemen, quoting, "We apologize for technical problems related to the broadcast of Poland-Austria match on the internet," quote unquote, TVP said in a post on X, or Twitter, whatever you want to call it these days. So TVP said that it had launched an alternative website where fans could watch the game. That Sunday, it had said that the attack was carried out from IP addresses located inside Poland and it made no comment on the source of the Friday attack that had recently happened. So I think what this means is that no industry, no sport, no organization is, as I said, excluded from this. And it's happening because they're going after fans. Now, if you're wondering, and this is a very good question, how much money does the Poland Euro match draw in? How much do you think? So they bring in a lot of money. Okay, I mean a lot of money. How much do you think they bring in? Or let's think about this. How much money or how much profit does the Poland Euro match make? How much profit? How much profit do you think? So the Euro 2024 prize money, obviously, each team gets about 10 million for taking part in the European Championships, but none of that goes directly to the players. Did you know that? So the question you probably wonder is, how much profit does the Poland Euro match make from fans? Yeah, that's my question. How much do they make from fans? Well, the Euro 2024 prize money will amount to 331 million pounds, with a split based on participation at 222 million pounds and 9.25 million pounds for each of the 24 participating associations. The tournament's performance was 109 million pounds that was allocated respectively. So you can see that they have some money. And because of this money, these bad actors say, hey, let's go after this. It's an easy prey. We can get this money. We can easily, just take it from, kind of like taking candy from a baby. The United States is not playing games, ladies and gentlemen. They're imposing sanctions on Russia's A.O. Kaspersky lab. What's going on with this? Yes, the U.S. has imposed sanctions on Russia's Kaspersky lab. So for those of you that don't know Kaspersky, they make a lot of anti-virus and anti-malware software. But the government is not fooling around with this. In fact, just recently, last week, the Biden administration slapped sanctions on 12 people in senior leadership roles at the A.O. Kaspersky lab, citing the cybersecurity risks a day after it announced plans to bar the sale of the Russian company's antivirus software. The sanctions targeted leaderships at the company, including the chief business development officer, chief operating officer, the legal officer, the corporate communications chief, and others. And a quote that they made, I will quote, "Today's action against the leadership of Kaspersky Lab underscores our commitment to ensure the integrity of our cyber domain and to protect our citizens against malicious cyber threats." Treasury Under Secretary Brian Nelson recently made this in a statement. So a Kaspersky salesperson described the move as, quote, unjustified and baseless, saying it would not affect the company's resilience since it does not target the parent or subsidiary companies of its chief executive, Eugene Kaspersky. So the move shows the Biden administration is trying to stamp out any risks of Russian cyber attacks stemming from Kaspersky software and keep squeezing Moscow as its war efforts in the Ukraine has regained momentum and the United States has run low on sanctions it can impose on Russia. So A.O. Kaspersky is one of the two Russian units of Kaspersky Lab placed on a commerce trade restriction list on the past Thursday for allegedly cooperating with Russian military intelligence to support Moscow's cyber intelligence goals. So the move was coupled on Thursday with unprecedented ban on sales, resales, and software updates for Kaspersky products in the United States that's starting September 29th. Now, the U.S. authorities say the software poses serious risks, citing Russia's influence over the company. The software's privileged access to a computer system which could allow it to steal sensitive information from American computers and its ability to install malware and withhold critical updates. The decision that was announced recently prohibits American companies or citizens from trading or conducting financial transactions with the sanctions executives and freezes assets held in the United States. So I think what we have to understand is it's not a question of if, but when. So it's important that we stay educated about the different technology that's out there. It's important that we know our risks. And if you're still on the fence and saying, hey, is Kaspersky's software dangerous? And that would be a loaded question, right? Um, does Kaspersky's software pose, let's say, a national threat to the U.S.? Does it? Well, again, the Biden administration had banned the software, but the thing is, the U.S. again believes that security software made by Moscow-based Kaspersky Labs represents a national security risk, and that the Russian government could use Kaspersky software to install malware. Will they? I mean, that's a whole question in itself, but I think we're at least being proactive so that this doesn't happen. And I think these executives were really taken by storm because they didn't know this was going to happen. And so I have to tell you that I never liked this software. I think that they missed a lot of things. And, when I compare it to other software, which I'm not doing right now because this isn't a tech show, they miss a lot of stuff. And there are a lot of companies out there that miss stuff. Maybe they do it intentionally. Maybe their software's not up to snuff. But I have to believe that a company that's not US based is one that should be watched. Because if we don't watch them, how do we know if they're not going to cause a problem for us? How do we know? We don't. And here's one that's really sad, ladies and gentlemen. Stolen test data and the NHS numbers published by the hospital hackers. Yes, stolen published data from the NHS, and what's going on. So this really has a big challenge. There was stolen test data and NHS numbers published by hospital hackers. This is like terrible. So a gang of cyber criminals caused a major set of mayhem to multiple London hospitals, and they decided to disseminate sensitive PHI, personal health information, and PI, personal information. It was stolen from the NHS pathology testing provider. And recently, Quilin, gets Quilin, shared almost 400, let me say that again, 400 gigabytes of private information on their darknet site. The gang has been trying to extort money from the NHS provider Synovis since they hacked the firm on June 3rd, earlier this year. Now, cybersecurity experts have been around the clock trying to see what the heck's going on. And there's a lot of attacks happening, and they believe that this is probably one of the most harmful attacks ever in the United Kingdom. So sample the data seen by the BBC includes patient names, date of birth, the NHS numbers, descriptions of blood tests. However, it's not known if the test results are also in the data or not. The hack also resulted in more than 3,000 hospitals and general practitioner appointments and operations being disrupted. A teenager being treated for cancer is among those affected. Now, forget the fact of, the data being exposed. Let's talk about the severity, because if we expose that these people have cancer, you might say, gee, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is now we know that we can extort that data, because if we don't get the right information to the right people, that kid might die and he may not get the appropriate treatments. So this is a big challenge. And Mr. Martin, who is the ex-head of the National Cybersecurity Center and now a professor at Oxford, told BBC Radio that one program could be several months before systems were ever restored. Now, Quilin previously told the BBC they would publish the data unless they got paid. Now, there are also business account spreadsheets detailing financial arrangements between the hospitals, GP services, and Synovis. And the NHS England told the BBC it was aware of the publication, but could not be completely sure the shared data was real. Quote unquote, we understand that people may be concerned by this, and we are continuing to work with Synovus, the National Cybersecurity Center, and other partners to determine the content of the published files as quickly as possible. Synovus, meanwhile, said, quote unquote, we know how worrying this development may be for many people. We're taking it very seriously, and analysis of this data is already underway, close quote. So the ransom hackers, obviously broke into the computer system of the company, which used by the two NHS trusts in London and encrypted vital information, making IT systems useless. So the big issue we have is that it's believed that this same firm is the one that actually went after, yes, you remember the large ticket company, right? The Live Nation, right? Ticketmaster and Live Nation. And here's something they said, which I want to quote. On their darknet site, they have obviously stolen data from other healthcare organizations, not just this one, as well as schools, companies, and councils from around the globe. They said, and I want to quote what they said, I think it's kind of funny or comical. Don't blame us for people suffering. This came right from the London hospital hackers. Hospital cyber attacks impact 800 operations. Critical incidents over London hospitals was this great big cyber attack. And a quote, I think this is probably one of the most significant cyber attacks on the NHS, said Sarah Gaffar, an expert in healthcare cybersecurity at Imperial College in London. And this will have a severe impact in the delivery of patient care. And I think that's the big issue, is it's about patient care, right? But hacking hospitals for PHI, personal health information, and just personal information. This is big business, ladies and gentlemen. This is not like some run of the mill. All right. And I don't know if you guys know, but there is a U.S. lawsuit against TikTok to focus on child privacy. What's going on here? Yes, there is a U.S. lawsuit against TikTok for child privacy. And I think this is something that is a good thing, actually, because hopefully it'll get them to change their ways. And it was actually referred to the U.S. Justice Department just recently. So the U.S. Federal Trade Commission said that it had referred a complaint against the social media platform TikTok and its parent company, we all know, ByteDance, over potential violations of children's privacy to the Justice Department. In March, a source told Reuters the FTC could resolve a probe in TikTok over allegedly faulty privacy and data security practices by either filing suit or reaching a settlement. So I think what this is doing, ladies and gentlemen, is it's making people aware. And now the fact that our Federal Trade Commission and that people are aware and government's aware of it, hopefully we can mitigate this and eventually stamp out the exploitation of kids, like surfing them ads that they shouldn't be seeing, to capitalize on the fact that they can become addicted to something and take actions without them even being really conscious when they're younger. Well, Mr. Joey Barton, who is an retired football player, yes, has to pay an extra $35,000 to Jeremy Vine. You might say, why is Jerry Barton paying £35,000 to Jerry Vine? And it's a very interesting story. So I'll try to give you the quick rundown of it. So Jerry Barton is going to pay $35,000 pounds in damages to settle a libel claim with Jeremy Vine. The broadcaster's solicitors have confirmed. And the Radio 2 presenter sued Mr. Barton earlier this year after the former footballer wrote a series of posts suggesting Mr. Vine had a sexual interest in children. Terrible. In May, the High Court ruled that Mr. Barton's posts were defamatory. On a recent Tuesday, the sportsman apologized and agreed to pay £75,000 in damages and legal costs. But now he needs to pay an extra $35,000. Mr. Barton responded to being served by Mr. Vine's claim by making an additional damaging and untrue publications about Mr. Vine and his legal complaints. And so these statements gave rise to additional claims for defamation, harassment, and invasion of privacy, which were not covered, they claimed, by the first settlement, which is why he's getting an extra £35,000. Sure, why not? And as part of the settlement, Mr. Barton is also required to participate in a statement in open court in which he will make a comprehensive, get this, ladies and gentlemen, formal apology for his actions and give undertakings not to repeat them. The BBC had recently approached Mr. Barton's lawyers for comment, but they have not received one to date. So this is incredible. Lawyers acting for Mr. Vine said the abuse began last year after Mr. Barton called the female football pundits Annie Alico and Lucy Ward, quote unquote, the Fred and Rose West of football commentary, referring to the British serial killers. And this led to a series of posts criticizing women involving in football and punditry. And after Mr. Vine asked, are we dealing with a brain injury here? I think it started to cause a problem. In response, Mr. Barton, who was a manager of Bristol Rovers basically until October last year, began what lawyers characterized as a calculated and sustained attack on the broadcaster. So I get it, okay? I don't think either of them were right. And I think in media, because I've been in media for a long time and being a member of the press, I think we have to realize that we don't have the right to insult somebody. Okay, we can call a statement out, we can make comments, but we're not here to insult people. We're here to bring the facts. And we can bring our speculation, but we have to let people know that. So this is a big issue. And so, you know, they basically have big egos, both of them. And so I can't really say that one is really, let's say, right. In my case of what's happening, I almost seem like it should be a wash, because I get that he made the accusation about the child sexual connotation, but I think the big issue is that they both got dirty hands. They're both not clean. So I think the court might have gotten a little bit off track because the lawyers maybe took it down a different pathway. And so lawyers are sometimes good about this. They don't always show the truth. They shade the truth. They color the truth. They change your perception of the truth. And what happens when you change your perception? Your reality changes. When you change your reality, well, your mind changes, and thus your thoughts and your decisions will change as well, and your beliefs. So that's what I think happened there. Well, Mr. Governor Phil Murphy, relax, everyone. He has decided not to raise the sales tax from 6.625% in New Jersey to 7%. He has decided to do something else. Yes, so you can rest. Governor Murphy is not raising sales tax. But then what's he doing? Well, what he is hoping to do right now is tax companies that make it's basically 10 million net or more. So they need to come up with a $55.9 billion budget, including a plan for New Jersey Transit by taxing businesses. So New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy is starting to raise awareness of the business taxes on the state's largest companies in order to find hundreds of millions of dollars a year to fund its beloved new mass transit system. It's not only the tax increase in the $55.9 billion budget Murphy had talked about, but it's about the largest and likely the most politically divisive action. It plans to raise more revenue and break it, pledging to not raise taxes ever. Murphy made when he won a second and final term of 2021 that he will not raise taxes. But the administration said the economic circumstances have changed and that his proposal balancing responsible budgeting with his focus on affordability. So a senior administration official noted, for example, that a new fee and tax were carefully tailored and not broad-based. So the new tax, called corporate transit fee, will face opposition from elements of the business community. and could also get picked apart or divided up by lawmakers who want to fund their own pet projects. And it could be used against Murphy's wife, First Lady Tammy Murphy, in her Senate primary campaign that's tried to focus on affordability, but which has gotten off to, let's say, a difficult start. The new 2.5% tax on some 600 businesses making over $10 million a year in profit, not on the gross, on the net, will be one of the most significant moves by the second term Democrat and perhaps one of his last major accomplishments before he leaves office in 2026. So you might be saying, what is Murphy going to build with this $59 million budget? I mean, what's he really going to build? Do we know? So I think it's proposed that there'll be a new transit system. The transit system, they haven't said, what kind of transit system will they build. They haven't shared a lot of these details right now, but they're talking about a lot of things, possibly a faster subway system, investigating the type of transit system that should be built to move tens of thousands of more people expected to come to MetLife Stadium and American Dream. So, yes, they've talked about things like trams, cable cars, electric ferries, but the city is rethinking, how does New Jersey Transit be part of this? Things like a Transme cable. I mean, these all sound great because I think some of the challenges in New Jersey is mass transportation is a challenge. We don't know how to get from point A to point B unless we spend money in a private car or we drive. I mean, let's just take Jersey City, for example, and I'll give you a perfect one. So I've been to Jersey City about 4 times in my life. First 3 times I've driven. I said I will never drive to Jersey City ever again. And today I had to go to Jersey City because somebody asked me to go there for a business convention. So I decided to go there, but I said, not if I'm going to drive. And I researched that I had to basically get picked up in the morning because the train station I was going to didn't have parking. And so I had to get driven there and get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, get picked up at like 5:40 or something, get to the train station, 6:03, get taken to the Hoboken train station, then change, okay, to the Norfolk line to go into Journal Square, and then 20-minute walk to St. Peter's University. So I say this to you because if there was something more cohesive, I could have gotten from where I need to be, maybe to being connected to, let's say, Secaucus. Now, we know there's a major hub there, but I had to go through all these juxtapodes to get somewhere. So it doesn't mean that mass transit is going to be right around your street. But what it does mean is it's going to be in a central area. Could it be East Rutherford? Could it be Clifton? I'm not sure yet. But they're working on these areas so that they can move people quickly in and out. Of course, this is going to cost a lot of money. And so, thinking about the whole concept of, building this and what it's going to take is something that everybody's been talking about for a while. And the impact of society, are they going to use clean energy? I mean, there's lots of questions. Bikes aren't going to cut it, right? So they're hoping that this, let's say, movement will not only empower people to go places, but that it's also going to increase the funding by people to grow our economy. Pretty cool idea. We'll have to keep you posted on what's happening, but where they're not raising sales tax, you can relax about that. So don't blame us for people suffering, as the London hospital hacker said. Don't blame us. I have to say, going back to that, don't blame us. I mean, what do they really want to say when they say don't blame us? I mean, like, what gives them legal right to say don't blame us? And the question you might be asking is, what was the legal, or what was the political reason why London blood banks got hacked? What was the political reason? They basically stated that it's a political statement. Okay, don't blame us. Um, they're saying that they're trying to justify the attacks as a form of political protest, and so this is a big issue. Um, you know, the question you might be asking is, you know, what what is the political protest for the hacks in the London hospitals? I mean, what is that? What is that political ploy? And I think it comes down to the fact that people say things, and then somebody doesn't agree with them, but a political statement doesn't give somebody the right to harm someone's life, doesn't give somebody the right to stalk someone, doesn't give somebody the right to even yell at them. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion for their own reasons. I mean, that is perfectly, normal. All right, and here's one. So I don't smoke, but if you've ever looked at cigarettes by Philip Morris and other companies that make cigarettes, they have a warning label on the cigarettes. Have anybody ever read that? Yeah. So people say to me, John, what is the warning label on tobacco or on cigarettes? And it's pretty straightforward. The FDA warning label. You know, the ruling, they have things like smoking causes head and neck cancer. Warning, tobacco smoke causes fatal lung and disease in non-smoker. Warning, smoking causes cataracts, which can lead to blindness. Warning, smoke reduces blood flow, which can cause erectile dysfunction. Warning, tobacco smoke can harm your children. Warning, smoke causes bladder cancer, which can lead to bloody urine. Warning, smoking reduces blood flow to the limbs, which can require amputation. Warning, smoking causes COPD, a lung disease that can be fatal. Warning, smoking causes type 2 diabetes, which raises blood sugar. Warning, smoking during pregnancy stunts fetal growth. Warning, smoking can cause heart disease and strokes by clogging arteries. Warning, tobacco smoke can harm your children. So those are very graphic, and they definitely get to the point, don't they? But a U.S. Surgeon General wants social media warning labels put on content that could be addictive. And they're claiming things like they can cause depression. Some of them are claiming that people might cause suicide, all because of this. And the thing is, do you think it's too far-fetched? Well, I get the idea and I know why they want to do it. But a warning label, I mean, maybe something else needs to be imposed. I think it's great that they want to do this. Um, it's actually Vivek Murthy, and she's calling for smoking style warning labels on social media platforms to protect children. So, wouldn't it be a good idea to educate children about the harms, right? If you're on a curb, do we have a sign that says, don't cross the street while a car is there, you'll get hit? No. Do we have a sign that says don't put your hand inside an electric outlet? Do we have a sign that says don't use your appliance in water? Well, we don't, but if you buy some appliances, they have the idiot factor. So they have to cover themselves because of lawsuits. So that's why they decide, because every now and then you'll get an idiot that says, oh, gee, I'm going to take a bath and let me just blow dry my hair. And they're all just, short out. Because we know that electricity flows through you, right? Flows through water conduct and back through you, and you can get electrocuted. So that is a problem. So I think this goes down to the fact that people need to be responsible. What I'd like to see about social media is before anybody can use social media online, maybe they got to take a class. Maybe it's an online class. And maybe this is the standard that needs to be followed so that we can make sure, kind of like a wild spread of COVID, right? The vaccine. Maybe we need to take a survey and then a test, and then based on the test, decide, do you need training to change, or are you okay? Because if you could be a risk, like a suicide risk, well, we got to be careful with how much social media we show you. But you might say, gee, John, it's freedom of the press. Yes, it is. But when we show content to minors, and we know that minors' minds are more susceptible than in adults because they just are like a sieve. There is no critical factor yet developed, or there's a lot less of one. So this is why younger people being showed social media is a serious, serious problem. All right, guys, moving on. Told you have lots of points today. Pope Francis thinks the church should play a part in world leaders' debate on AI. What do you think about this? Pope Francis wants to affect AI. So Pope to G7 is saying AI is neither objective nor neutral. In an address to the G7 summit, Pope Francis discussed the threat and promise of artificial intelligence, the techno-human condition, human versus algorithmic decision-making, AI-written essays, and the necessity of political collaboration on technology. So there are dangers, we know. The Pope dedicated his address to the G7 to the subject of artificial intelligence, and he began by saying that the birth of AI represents a true cognitive industrial revolution, which will lead to complex epochal transformations. Some good, some bad. The transformations, the Pope said, have the potential to be both, as we said, positive. For example, democratization of access knowledge that's available and the exponential advancement of scientific research, and a reduction in demanding and artist work, which obviously will protect people and save lives. Okay. But there are lots and lots of conflicts. Algorithms neither objective nor neutral. The Pope has stressed that algorithms used by artificial intelligence to arrive at choices are neither objective nor are they neutral. He also pointed out that the algorithm is designed to help judges in deciding whether to grant home confinement to prison inmates. These programs, he said, make a choice based on data such as the type of offense behavior in prison. However, the Pope stressed that this is reductive, and human beings are always developing and are capable of surprising us by their actions. This is something that a machine cannot take into account. We're even seeing now that with hospitals and doctors, they're using AI. Now, I don't think AI is bad to get an opinion, but I don't think we should be having insurance companies mandate that an AI opinion needs to be generated, or that we have to take the AI's suggestion. I think what's going to happen is right now they're wanting this to happen, but if AI causes a bad decision and it might affect somebody's life, you're going to watch how fast a lawsuit kicks. Okay. All right. And vigilante Hong Kong cabbies, they went undercover to ensnare illegal Uber drivers. So you might be asking, how? This is a really good question. How did Hong Kong cabbies go undercover? Well, that's a great question. So, a lot of Hong Kong cabbies, unfortunately, are illegal. So they hire their Uber through the app or Lyft, and just like any other passenger, they hop in the back seat. But halfway through the ride, the mode changes, and they reveal their true identity. Pull over here, they'd say. It's you. You are in trouble for driving an Uber. Passenger tells his driver during one of the few recent encounters captured in video and circulated online in Hong Kong. The passengers aren't traffic cops. They are vigilante taxi drivers taking direct action, having become increasingly frustrated about Hong Kong authorities' failure to regulate the ride-hailing platform. After the car pulls over, they hand over the driver, and often still reeling in shock, to the police officers they have called. Now, you may say this is provocative, but without these videos, people may think that we infiltrate the number of white plate vehicles out there. One of the taxi drivers who took part in a sting operation and asked to only be identified as Kachung told CNN. White plate vehicles is how taxi drivers colloquially refer to Uber. We just want the government to enforce the law. So I think that's a big concern. There are a lot of safety concerns. And Uber remains technically illegal in Hong Kong, by the way, which is entered into in 2014. But it has thrived under the ambiguous approach of officials keen to project an image of a technological modern tree. So I have to say something funny about, Uber and Lyft. They say, we're not a transportation company. Okay, well, what the heck are you? We're a technology company that matches drivers with passengers. That's just a come on, a way of saying that, you know, the same thing, but you're just trying to hide from it. All right, now here's an interesting one. Facial recognition startup Clearview, AI settles a privacy lawsuit. Yes, Clearview settles a privacy lawsuit. And, you wouldn't expect this, but it's a problem, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's a serious problem. Facial recognition startup Clearview AI reached a settlement recently in an Illinois lawsuit alleging its massive photographic collection of faces violated the subject's privacy rights, a deal that attorneys estimated could be worth, are you ready? $50 million. But the unique agreement gives plaintiffs in the federal suit a share of the company's potential value rather than a traditional payout. Attorneys' fees, estimated at $20 million, also would come out of the settlement amount. So I think we got to be aware of technology and how technology is being used. I think that's the most important thing that I want to share with all of you guys. And here is a real interesting one. If you were shopping for a car this week, well, I have some sympathy for you. Car dealerships are being disrupted by a multi-day outage after cyber attacks on a software supplier. This is big. I mean, when you think about, how can something affect us? I mean, car dealerships being affected by a nationwide hack. That's like scary. It's the first time that car dealers, ladies and gentlemen, have actually had this kind of a challenge. And I think the more that people get introduced to stuff like this, it was the CDK hack, by the way, and the U.S. auto dealerships grappled with the cyber attack that led ongoing software outage to basically with some reverting to manual paperwork as car industry technology provider CDK worked to restore systems used by more than 15,000 retail locations. The outage impacted CDK's dealer management system that used to complete deals, track store profitability, and monitor employee compensation. And it has significantly slowed down. So the auto retail industry is an official at the National Cybersecurity Alliance. The hacking group was called Black Suit, and it's behind the cyber attack on CDK, according to an intelligence analyst at security firm Recorded Future. So it said it had begun the restoration process, and it will all take several days to complete. But the thing is, all these companies out there, again, it's not a question of if, but when, they'll be attacked if they're not properly protected. And we got one more story to wrap up. So Amazon is starting to replace their packaging air packs or pillows with recycled paper. They're already started doing this around the country. And my question is Amazon doing this so they can get some brownie points in the PR department? Or does Amazon really care about the sustainability of our environment and the people? I think they're doing it for the brownie points. I mean, I could be wrong, but I've never seen Amazon in all of my life doing business with them ever care about anything I say. The only thing they ever care about is if I file a complaint with Better Business Bureau or Federal Trade Commission or District Attorney General's office, then they give a darn. But they really don't care about what I say to them because they just blow it under the rug. I'm just one customer. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in case you didn't know who I am, let me share that for you. I'm John C. Morley. I'm a serial entrepreneur. It is always such a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor to be with you here on the J Moore Tech Talk Show. Please do check out my hat, my website, believemeachieve.com, for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last show for June. That means the next time you see me is going to be the day after July 4th. I will be traveling, but of course I'll be broadcasting. And I want to take this opportunity right now to wish all of you, your friends, family, colleagues, and associates a very happy, healthy, blessed, amazing, abundant 4th of July ever. Remember, everyone, I'm going to say this again. Be safe, be safe, be safe. No firework, no thrill is worth the risk of losing your life. So, ladies and gentlemen, please be safe when you decide to use fireworks, if you do. Otherwise, let the professionals handle them. You can have just as much pleasure hearing and seeing them skyrocket right into that beautiful sky. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. I hope you have an amazing 4th of July. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I will be back on July 5th with another J Moore Tech Talk show. We'll see you guys real soon. And I hope you've enjoyed. And I hope you'll check out BelieveMeAchieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. Be well, everyone. And please be safe this 4th of July holiday.